then the telling of a joke. Now this particular joke is about a magician and a parrot. Now the way these two come in contact with each other is by way of an inheritance. Now this guy gets a letter from a solicitor, and he goes to the solicitor and he says, you are aligned to inherit a vast amount of money from one of your great aunts. He says, but she has a stipulation before you can inherit the money that for 1 year you must be accompanied by a beloved pet parrot. Now the guy goes, well, yeah, that's all good. What sort of money? She says, it's a substantial amount, you do not want to miss out on it, it's millions. He goes, oh, he says, but you can't collect it until you have this parrot for a year, and you must take it everywhere with you. He says, well, look, he says, I'm actually a magician by trade. He says, so that's my job. He says, so I find it a bit hard to take it on stage. And he says, look, the solicitor says, look, it stipulates you must take it everywhere you go. So the magician says, well, it can't be that bad a year. He says, doesn't really matter. Anyway, he's got to keep on with his job as such, because he needs to be putting some bread on the table, like, you know, and a roof over his head for this year. So he takes the parrot, done, on his shoulder, doing his tricks, you know. Well, this parrot absolutely killing his act. Like, he'll do an act and the parrot will turn around and say, it's up his sleeve. And do another act. He says, it's in his inside pocket. And he's thinking, God, I'm not going to get another job for a while. Anyway, he manages to get himself a job on an ocean liner. So he has to take this parrot with him. And he's doing his act on this ocean liner, you know, and during the act, suddenly there's a huge explosion. And the boat sinks. Anyway, there's only 2 survivors. This magician and this parrot, like, and they're in this lifeboat, they're floating around in this lifeboat, like. Magician's at one end, parrot's at the other end. And the parrot's just looking at him. It's just staring. Our magician thinks, he's not saying a word. And he's just looking at him. Days floating around in this boat. Parrot just looking at him. Then eventually the parrot goes, okay, I give up. What do you do with the boat?